6 minutes after 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. I always look forward to this part of the day because we get to speak to talented people who can entertain us with their words. Gerrie Ferris Finger has been doing this for a while now. She started out, it looks like, from her bio as a journalist. And I've often wondered, when you're a journalist, do you find yourself, writing stories that have to be factually accurate and say, oh man, can you imagine if it went this way instead of that way? And does the novelist that you could have been or would have been or want to be actually get its beginnings in trying to write actual factual, like journalistic kind of stories? Gerrie Ferris Finger is on the phone right now. She's got a new book, I understand, called Murmurs of Insanity. Some of you are probably fans of Gerrie Finger already. In addition to her books, obviously, she's a researcher, and it only makes sense, somebody who has spent much of her life as a journalist, and she's on the phone. Good morning, Gerrie. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Pretty good. Where are you? Where are you calling from?
St. Mary's, Georgia.
Oh, not too far. Okay. Well, you're
Not too far.
right around the corner.
Neighbors.
Well, so thank you for being on, but I wanted to ask you about the work you've done as a journalist. Was I right at all? I mean, does that happen to... Did it happen to you, and do you think it happens to a lot of journalists?
Well, yes. I mean, first of all, let me say, I don't know. I was a journalist for 20 years, and I don't know of any reporter, editor, etc., who hasn't written a book. I mean, we all do in some form or another. A lot of them do nonfiction, where, of course, they have to stick to the facts. But a lot of us do novels, and a lot of the screenwriting people too also get into writing novels. But anyway, the writing style is very different, even in long pieces that I've done. In news stories, of course, you have to stick with the facts, with very little imagery, because you have what they call this whole, which is that's the description of the amount of inches that you have for your story. So we are restricted to the hole in which our story is going into. And so for that reason, we don't do much imagery. Lots of verbs and nouns. In feature writing, there's more opportunity to express the landscape, people's demeanor and what they're wearing. Right. But we always must be careful of adverbs and adjectives and things like that, because they're frowned upon. Okay. I have translated that to fiction writing, because nothing is as strong in conveying a story as verbs. Verbs without the passive voice.
Interesting.
But otherwise, I get to make up my facts, make up my own facts and scenes to fit my words.
So I have one question about us as readers. Do we, like, if you wrote a absolutely true to the fact story in the form of a book, a crime story, would we be as excited to read it as something that's fictionalized? Because in fiction, I mean, I don't know if in real life you have as much romance, if you have as much happy endings, etc. But do we as readers want romance and happy endings in stories that in real life don't really have much of it?
That's a very good question. I think if you just stuck to the facts, if I were going to a fire, for instance, I'm telling the story as I see it, and then I get to, if I can, get close enough to a fireman. What did you see in that scene? What was it like? What was your feelings, etc. These are all facts, even though they are his feelings. But it's a very dry kind of reporting. Now, in crime stories, crime writers tend to take a crime story, a real crime story, but kind of fill in and fudge a little for the entertainment value. Just take a court scene. You're covering the courts. You can't write all that stuff.
No, that wouldn't be. Yeah, it wouldn't be readable to the average reader, right?
It it's just so turgid. I mean, so you have to, put more like a camera does. Put more. I mean, they fasten on people's faces, and you get their reactions. To a witness on the stand. So there's that interjection of the writer's own observances that are outside the facts.
So, Gerrie, because we're constrained to a short period of time today, tell us about the book, Murmurs of Insanity. What's that about?
It is the fourth in the Mariah Drew Richard Lake series. And Mariah is a child finder. Her agency is Child Trace. And she's involved in two cases. One is with a young man under the age of 18 who is a spotter and a runner for a drug lord. And he's in the courts, and he decides at the last minute not to testify because he was involved in this, so he's not going to testify against himself. And so that's case number one. And then Richard Lake, the Atlanta police detective, who is also her lover, asks Drew to go talk to his ex-wife. Linda, his half-brother, has gotten himself into trouble. And he's a wealthy landowner and restaurateur in Athens, Georgia, where the University of Georgia is. And he's gotten himself mixed up with the student art community there. And, a couple of students are missing, and Drew takes the case. She finds Baxter, his name, much too handsome and charming to ever get involved with the disappearances.
Oh, man, what a setup so far. Wow.
I love this.
Yeah.
And so, but anyway, the art students have devised a performance art presentation that's meant to shake up the tranquil, happy community. And so they put articles on nature trails, and the police think, et cetera, and the police think it's a treasure hunt. But Drew doesn't think so.
You have to be well versed in the law while you are writing these type of books, whether they're being adults or children.
Yes, that's true. That is true. Way back, I went to law school. Didn't graduate. Decided I didn't want to be a lawyer. Decided I love journalism, and so it was night school. And so, but anyway, I learned a lot. And then, the law keeps changing, as you know. And, and so, I keep up with it. It's part of, just part of the writing process. Research.
Well, I'm looking forward to Gerrie. We're just about out of time. Is the book on your website, GerrieFerrisFinger.com? Yes,
it is.
Okay.
GerrieFerrisFinger.blogspot.com, and it's available. It's released Wednesday, July 16.
Oh, okay.
And it'll be on all online stores, big box stores, independent stores. So it'll be on sale.
WC.com. Safe boating is no accident. Times of clouds and sun today with a thunderstorm around, especially during the afternoon hours over the interior, the high 88 to 92. And partly cloudy tonight, low 71 to 75. Clouds and some sunshine tomorrow with a thunderstorm around in the afternoon and evening, high 86 to 90. For Wednesday, intervals of clouds and sun with a couple of showers and thunderstorms around in the afternoon, high 84 to 88. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
Hi, this is JP from Penn Flooring here in Ocala. I would like to invite you to come in and visit our spacious showroom where we have solutions for every style and budget. From wall-to-wall carpet to hardwood floors and tiles, we have an unsurpassed selection of flooring. At Penn Flooring, we've provided quality customer service with a family touch for over 25 years. Visit our website at pennflooring.com or come by our showroom, 1201 Southwest 17th Street, just over the bridge. Penn Flooring, quality customer service with a family touch.
Are you or a loved one struggling with trauma or substance abuse? Do you have questions that need answers? If so, join the Refuge and WOCA on Recovery Talk Wednesdays at 11 a.m., where we will discuss addictions and mental health disorders that affect our community. The Refuge is a leading detox, residential, and outpatient treatment center for adults struggling with addictions, co-occurring disorders, and trauma-related issues. Recovery Talk Wednesdays at 11 a.m.
Habitat for Humanity of Marion County is a ministry dedicated to improving lives by providing affordable and decent housing. Help them help others by visiting the Habitat for Humanity Ocala Restore at 926 Northwest 27th Avenue. To schedule a donation, give us a call at 401-0075 and we'll come pick it up. For more information, visit ocalarestore.org. Habitat for Humanity of Marion County. Building homes, building hope, building community.
How good does it get?
Golf has long been considered to be sport's most prestigious game, and WOCA has your connection to everything in the golf world. Every first and third Thursday at 10 a.m., tune in for Let's Talk Golf with your host, PGA professional and teacher to the stars, Jim Beckett, and operations manager for the Links of Spruce Creek South, Darren Irwin, right here on The Source.
Hey, Gator fans, you know what that means. Football season is just about here, and there'll be life in the swamp again soon. Catch my reports all week from the SEC Media Days on The Source. And cheer up, for crying out loud.
Hi, I'm Fran Darkington. When I need news, I pass the rest and tune to The Source, WOCA.
Who would you feed if you had 50 chicken sandwiches from Chick-fil-A? WOCA and Chick-fil-A in the Paddock Mall have teamed up to reward one organization with 50 chicken sandwiches as a way of saying thanks for the great work that organization is doing in our community. And we need your help. See, there are so many great people doing great things that we need nominations. You can nominate your own organization or any organization you choose. Simply send an email to WOCA@WOCA.com. And in 350 words or less, tell us why the organization you are nominating should receive 50 free chicken sandwiches from WOCA and Chick-fil-A at the Paddock Mall. We'll review your nominations and then select one deserving organization each month. We'll announce the winner and even read the winning entry on the air. Make sure to include the contact name and phone number of the organization that you are nominating. And thanks from your friends at WOCA and Chick-fil-A in the Paddock Mall. All right, 19 minutes after 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in this Monday morning. And just real quick, I want to tell you a real quick story. On Saturday, we were doing a video for one of the songs that we produced, and we wanted to get some shots of a sunset. And of course, the best place for a sunset shot is on the west coast of the state.
Yes.
If you want to have a nice sunset over the water. So we went to the Gulf of Mexico down at Clearwater Beach. Now, there's a place down there called Pier 60 that apparently is hugely popular, and we didn't realize how popular it was. And so long story short, we had a park about a mile away, and then we walked to the pier, and we waited on the pier for the sun to set. And when we had a place to sit, there was a nice bench there, so that was kind of good. But then we got up, and the place is hugely popular for people wanting to watch sunsets.
Yeah.
Who knew, right?
Yes, it's great.
And what does that have to do with our next guest? It has this, because after I got up from that bench, I found myself with no place to sit, and ended up standing, waiting for this sun to set. It's something it does every day.
Yes, it does.
But I must have stood, what do you think, an hour and a half?
Yeah.
I mean, just an hour and a half. And I felt fine until I started walking away. And as I'm walking away, I'm thinking, oh, my knees. Oh, I can feel it in my knees. Oh, man, we got a mile to walk back to the car. Am I going to make it? Dr. Ron Noy is on the phone. He is a board-certified orthopedic surgeon and sports medicine specialist at Prestige Orthopedics and sports medicine in New York City. And he's also a PGA Tour doctor, so he works a little bit with the golfers. He's coming on to speak to us about the Wakefield Research Survey that shows that joint concerns do not discriminate with age or with gender. So it doesn't matter how old I am or what sex I am. I'm still going to have the same concerns about my knees and my elbows and everything else. Dr. Ron Noy, good morning, doctor.
Good morning.
Where are you right now?
I'm actually in New York City.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you for being on the air with us. Yeah, I stood. I think I can walk for an hour and a half better than I can stand still for an hour and a half.
Absolutely. I mean, again, if you're sitting around or standing around for long, stiffness in your joints, it takes them a little while to get going. So that's what it sounds like it happened there with the sunset.
And is that what happens? I mean, stiffness is caused by just plain standing?
Well, if you're keeping a joint still and you have any little bit of arthritis in it, it's going to be stiff when you start, and then as you're moving it gets better.
Do the athletes that you work with, because I'm assuming they've been athletic all their lives, do they actually show more? Are there more concerns for them than there would be for this person who's been sedentary most of his life?
Well, no, they're equally.
Equally, okay.
Different joints, right? So if you're a golfer, if you've been a professional golfer for a long period of time, I see this a lot, especially in the women golfers. They're constantly looking down at their clubs, right? They're keeping their head still. They get a lot of joint discomfort in their neck. Sometimes they get in the lower back as well. But if you're sitting there looking at the ball, it's going to actually irritate your neck doing that. If you're a sedentary person, your muscles get weaker. You're not building up the strength around the joints, and you can get a lot of joint discomfort. And that's where this joint care survey that you mentioned came in. They showed that 67% of Americans that were surveyed actually have joint discomfort in their 30s, which was the same amount as in their 50s. So it's almost like the 30s is the new 50s when it comes to joint discomfort.
Oh, no, it went backwards, though. 30s.
I didn't hear you there.
It went backwards, it sounds like. It sounds like we're getting joint issues at an earlier age.
Well, I think part of the reason is we're also doing more as kids now, right? So think about it. When we were kids, what did we do? We drove our bike to the park. We played in the park. We didn't do a lot. Now they're doing skateboard parks. They're cement. They're hard on their knees. Instead of going skiing, they're snowboarding, so they're landing on their knees. And they're doing a lot of more things earlier. There's like Tough Mudders that instead of, just going out for a jog, now they have Tough Mudders and
That's
other
true.
things. So, when you're going to do regular activities like picking up your kids or bending down to, pick up your keys or something like that, you actually have joints that have taken a little bit more punishment now in your 30s than when we were kids. So, getting into a daily routine, making sure you have a good exercise program, which, of course, you should always consult your doctor. Taking a product like OsteoBiflex Edge, which is a daily supplement. You can throw it into your gym bag and take it once a day. And it is shown that it could possibly help prevent these joint flare-ups.
And will that also help cut down on the joint replacements that we hear about happening?
Well, that's part of my goal. People come into my office all the time, and my specialty is fixing the ligaments and the cartilage and that kind of stuff when they come in. I'm trying to keep people with replacement. I'm about to turn 50. My knee, if I show you my x-ray, I've had 2 knee operations. I look like I'm 100 years old. My plan is never to have a joint replacement, and I'm trying to keep my patients from having them. So if they start this routine early, maybe they'll be able to protect themselves and not end up with a knee like mine when they're 50.
So it sounds like you really are saying that the supplements could make a big difference.
Yeah, absolutely.
And how do we know which ones? I mean, you named one already, but if somebody goes to the health food store or to the local pharmacy, and I mean, advertising sometimes influences us greatly. What do we look for on the label?
Well, I mean, one of the things that the double-blind studies show, there were New England Journal of Medicine, is you want your product to have glucosamine and chondroitin sulfate. You can't just have one or the other. If you have both, there's a good chance it's going to help you. And you really have to take it the improvements, but then you need to continue taking it daily. Other things that are in there. So the products that OsteoBiflex came out, they're the leading joint supplement company in the country that only really follows double-blinded studies. So all their products have been tested. So you want a company that's reputable. There's 2 kinds of the Edge, which are for the people in their 30s and 40s. There's one with a muscle. They both have 5-Levoxin in it, which is shown to help with joint flare-ups. CoQ10. As you get older, CoQ10, which is a thing that helps with your muscles, and you really need muscle strength across the joints to reduce pain in your joints. You really want to have something like that if you're getting older, or if you're lacking energy, there's an energy one that has vitamin Bs in it.
So can you, as a surgeon, if you're working on somebody's joint, whether it's a knee or something else, can you literally see whether somebody has had the right nutrition or if they're taking a supplement?
Well, when I go into somebody's knee, whether they're 30 or 50 or 70, it's very kind of variable of how the time has played on those joints. And it depends on what their genetics are, depends on what they've been doing their whole life. What we do know is that people are being harder on their joints now. So I'm seeing a lot of people in their 30s. I go in there for an ACL. You're not really expecting to see a lot of cartilage surface damage.
Right.
And I'm seeing a lot of cartilage surface damage that I didn't see 15 years ago. So hopefully doing these kind of things, the exercise program, the supplements, the hope is that 20 years from now, if I go into somebody that's 30, you're not going to see this much damage.
And we can purchase this over the counter, or should we be able to get this with prescription?
Now, this is over the counter. Anywhere that you get any supplements in your vitamin aisle, you should be able to find this. And you can go to osteobiflexedge.com. And on the product, they also have training tips there and just nutrition-related tips.
Okay, and do Robin asked about the prescription, but let's obviously you don't need one. But you
don't need a prescription.
But do you recommend a doctor suggest it, or is it possible? Because we hate to self-medicate. That's what I'm getting at.
Well, absolutely, and there's a lot more self-medicating now with the internet being very accessible, right? So a lot of good information, you can get a lot of bad information. So that, really before you start any supplements, any exercise program, you should see at least your primary care doctor just to make sure, A, it's safe to do for you, and, they can give you more advice on what to do.
The website that you gave us, osteobiflex.com. Osteobiflexedge.com. Okay. I've written it down so that I don't forget. And what is it? Is it a powder? How do you do this?
Tablets once a day. Most people that I speak to take it together, 2 tablets. You can split them if you want to.
And that also encourages healthy eating, too, and a exercise program.
Absolutely. And if you go to the website, there's things out there about eating properly. You really have to look at it as a whole. You got to make it a daily routine. So it's not just taking the supplements and you can go run off and do whatever you want. You also have to do the exercise program. That's where your physician can really help.
Does anything that we ingest sabotage our joints, like sodas or anything like that?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of controversy on what foods and drinks now can actually hurt. The best thing to do is to really kind of research and see what really affects you. I have some patients that if they eat a tomato, they get joint pain.
Really?
Other patients don't. So there's can affect different people, and you have to kind of play around with your food. But the basic things is you should get the right nutrition.
Okay, Doctor, thank you so much for being on with us today. The website we got again, osteobiflexedge.com, and you'll see everything we've been talking about regarding the supplement OsteoBiflex. Thank you, Doctor. Thank you for doing what you're doing and for being on our show.
Thank you for having me.
All right, we'll take a little break, and we will be right back.
Fox News Radio, I'm Pat O'Neill. As the conflict continues in Gaza, the militant group Hamas is employing a new weapon.
Hamas says it has added drones to the arsenal of weapons it's using against Israel. The Israeli military says it shot one of them down today near the city of Ashdod along the southern coastline. This is the first time Hamas has acknowledged it has drones. The militant group says it will use them for intelligence gathering and as weapons.
Fox Radio's Kimberly Adams in Egypt. Crews in Oregon trying to determine how many structures have been destroyed by a fast-moving wildfire near Sprague River. The fire scorched more than 4 square miles. A smell prompting the evacuation of 100 homes in Skip-Pack Township near Philadelphia has been linked to an organic substance in the sump pumps of several homes.
They told us to open all our windows and we had to evacuate and stay outside until further notice.
Safety officials still trying to identify the specific compound. Fox News. We report, you decide.
Policies issued by American General Life Insurance Company, Houston, Texas. Not available in all states. For details, visit AIGdirect.com.
On March 3rd last year, Henry W. faced his own death with incredible courage. He wasn't in an accident. He wasn't ill. He wasn't in any danger. But he faced this reality head on. If he died, his wife and children wouldn't be able to pay the mortgage, make the car payments, or keep up the life they'd had. His family would lose everything. So he picked up the phone and called AIG Direct. He found out that through AIG Direct, he could get a $250,000 life insurance policy for less than $14 a month. Now, he knows that he's helped make his family's future secure, no matter what happens to him.
Protecting your family with coverage through AIG Direct is fast, easy, and incredibly affordable. Call AIG Direct right now for a free no-obligation quote. The call takes less than 5 minutes, and you can save up to 70%. Call now. 1-800-322-1099. That's 1-800-322-1099. 1-800-322.
This is a test of the emergency alert system. This is only a test. If this had been an actual emergency, such as a hurricane or tornado, official messages would have followed the alert tones. WOCA serves the Marion County area. This concludes the test of the emergency alert system.
Here are today's headlines from the source WOCA. The Marion County Sheriff's Office has reported the arrest of a 25-year-old man charged with aggravated child abuse after a 2-year-old boy in his care was rushed to the hospital with a fractured skull and severely bruised face. The man is identified in the report as Reese William Rockwell. The child was listed in intensive care at Shands Hospital at the University of Florida in Gainesville. According to the report, Rockwell was babysitting 4 children at the time of the incident. He was taken to the Marion County Jail, where bond was set at $10,000. A 68-year-old man from the town of Seville was found dead yesterday underneath a riding lawnmower that apparently fell out of the back of a trailer that he was hauling as he sat on it, according to a report from the Florida Highway Patrol. The body of Michael Giles was found around 5:30 p.m. yesterday by a passerby under the mower alongside Brownlee Road east of the town of Seville. Giles' 2011 Ford pickup with the trailer attached was on the west shoulder of the road. The truck was in park and the engine was running. Troopers believe Giles parked his truck, climbed into the trailer, and got onto the riding lawn mower. It was not secured and may have shifted at some point. The mower then fell out of the trailer and onto Giles. There were no witnesses, and the death is under investigation. Since taking office in 2011, Governor Rick Scott has signed into law 12 gun-related measures backed by the National Rifle Association. That is 9 more than former Republican Governor Charlie Crist approved while enjoying an equally Republican-dominated legislature between 2007 and 2010. Crist is now running for the Democratic nomination to face Scott in the November elections. The total number of Scott's signings remains 2 fewer than those inked by former Governor Jeb Bush, who also affixed his name to a 1-year record 6 pro-gun and pro-hunting bills in 2006. 1 year earlier, Bush had signed the Stand Your Ground law. However, Bush's overall total of 14 new pro-gun laws came during 8 years as the occupant of the governor's mansion. A monorail train at Disney World stopped running and was evacuated yesterday after passengers reported seeing lightning. Disney spokeswoman Jackie Waller said there were thunderstorms around Walt Disney World Resort when the elevated train stopped. The cause of the power outage was not immediately known. There was some bad weather in the area, and because of the power outage, the monorail guests were evacuated, according to a report from Disney. They say there was no fire, and all passengers got down calmly with the aid of firefighters and a mechanical lift. Several Twitter users reported the evacuation just after 6 p.m., including at WDWNT, which describes itself as a website tracking news related to the Disney resorts. It tweeted a photograph of the monorail stopped with emergency vehicles nearby. WESH-TV2 in Orlando reported 120 people were taken off of the monorail ride without injury. And a huge water oak split in half in Bellevue Saturday morning and damaged the roofs of 2 homes on Southeast 55th Avenue. One of the occupants said she was on the telephone when she heard a loud crash and the phone went dead. About a minute later, she heard another loud noise. At that time, she said her husband went outside and saw the damage. No one was injured. The tree took down power lines and about 6 homes were left without electricity. Linemen from Duke Energy were there to fix the downed power lines Saturday morning. As to why the tree split, a neighbor said that last Monday, lightning struck the tree. At that time, nothing happened, but she believes that with all the rain, the tree got heavy and split in half. And those are the headlines from The Source, WOCA 96.3 FM and 1370 AM.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. Times of clouds and sun today with a thunderstorm around, especially during the afternoon hours over the interior, the high 88 to 92. And partly cloudy tonight, low 71 to 75. Clouds and some sunshine tomorrow with a thunderstorm around in the afternoon and evening, high 86 to 90. For Wednesday, intervals of clouds and sun with a couple of showers and thunderstorms around in the afternoon, high 84 to 88. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
Habitat for Humanity of Marion County is a ministry dedicated to improving lives by providing affordable and decent housing. Help them help others by visiting the Habitat for Humanity Ocala Restore at 926 Northwest 27th Avenue. To schedule a donation, give us a call at 401-0075 and we'll come pick it up. For more information, visit ocalarestore.org. Habitat for Humanity of Marion County. Building homes, building hope, building community.
Here are the categories.
I'll take Mike Scott Plumbing for $1,000, please, Alex.
Answer. Daily double.
I'll wager $5,000.
All right. Here is the clue. PU is the type of this complication.
What is a sewage backup?
Yes, that's right.
It's all fun and games until something happens to you, like a septic system failure or a clogged drain or line, leaving you saying PU. But not to worry, Mike Scott Plumbing is there to get you out of that jeopardy and back on track. And they don't charge extra for nights, weekends, or holidays. From septic pumping to lawn irrigation to high-efficiency water heaters. At Mike Scott Plumbing, if water runs through it, we do it. Stop by one of the newly renovated showrooms in Hernando or Wildwood, or call today, 237-2888. That's 237-2888.
Mike Scott.
This weather brought to you by OcalaForSale.com, where you too can be a sellout. Give them a call at 629-1663 or